Welcome to Fresh Talk News Channel. Today, we're diving deep into a major political shift happening in Canada, and how it connects to the global influence of Donald Trump. There's been a nationalist backlash in Canada that pushed back against Trump's influence, stalling the rise of right-wing populism in this week's election. But here's the catch: the deeper issue of class dealignment hasn't gone away. In fact, it's getting worse. More and more working-class voters are moving to the right, and Canada's Social Democratic Party, the NDP, is falling apart. When Canada's federal election wrapped up this past Monday, the results were surprising. Just earlier this year, the Conservative Party had a huge lead in the polls, up by 25 points in January. But by election day, the Liberals managed to come out ahead. Many voters put their faith in Mark Carney, a former central and investment banker, hoping that he could block Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and stand up to Donald Trump's growing influence. A lot of former New Democratic Party (NDP) supporters abandoned ship and switched their vote to the Liberals. Even in traditionally working-class cities like Windsor and Hamilton, places where the left used to dominate, the Conservatives managed to flip long-held NDP seats. Despite higher voter turnout, the NDP's support crashed hard, going from 3 million votes down to just 1.2 million. Behind these numbers is a much bigger story. Working-class voters are shifting to the right, and they're buying into the Conservative message. Why is this happening? There are a few big reasons. First, Justin Trudeau stepping down reshaped the political landscape. Then, Trump's aggressive comments about Canada's sovereignty and economy sparked a kind of rally-around-the-flag effect. Voters began asking two key questions: who can stand up to Trump, and who offers real change from Trudeau's era? Now, don't be fooled, right-wing populism in Canada didn't disappear. It's just been put on pause. Both the Liberals and Conservatives are considered liberal parties in a broad sense. But the difference is in the details. Mark Carney is a technocrat, someone who believes in careful government management and some government spending, mostly through private partnerships. On the other hand, Pierre Poilievre is a hardcore believer in free market economics. Think Margaret Thatcher or Ronald Reagan. He supports tax cuts, deregulation, small government, the whole package. Even with these big differences, both parties managed to pull in a large number of working-class voters. While the NDP completely fell apart. In Canada, most voters aren't driven by ideology. Class identity doesn't often define politics here the way it does in other countries. But that doesn't mean class doesn't matter. Canada is still a class-divided society, and working-class Canadians know it. Poilievre's right-wing populism, which mirrors Trump's success in U.S. industrial cities, is striking a nerve. He's speaking to real issues: rising costs of living, unaffordable housing, job insecurity, and fears about the future of work. And in a country where natural resources matter deeply, many working-class voters want jobs that allow them to build, not just cut emissions. Poilievre has tapped into this frustration. He's offering a vision of growth, independence, and economic opportunity that many workers are eager to hear. But ironically, Trump's return to the spotlight disrupted that message, at least for now. His attacks on Canada sparked a nationalist response that helped the Liberals. Voters didn't want to be seen siding with MAGA or its Canadian cousin, the so-called Maple MAGA movement. The Liberals, and even the weakened NDP, worked hard to paint Poilievre as Trump's Canadian puppet. And guess what? That strategy worked. Carney benefited from it. But let's be clear, the conditions that created this shift to the right haven't gone away. They're still there, just under the surface, and they could return very soon. Carney, now in charge, promises to run capital surpluses, attract private investment, and reduce government spending. He says he won't cut services, but any budget reduction has consequences. Economist Angela Maswan is already warning us about polite austerity, something that echoes the devastating liberal budget cuts of 1995, which slashed social programs and helped create today's crises. It also fueled the very class divide we're seeing now. Let's talk about the bigger picture. With the NDP collapsing, the Liberals shifting to the right, and everyday economic frustrations growing, Canada's political centre is breaking apart. And if Trump returns to power in the US, it could spark a recession that hits Canada hard. That would only deepen the appeal of right-wing populism. Yes, the NDP technically hold some power in Parliament, alongside the Bloc Québécois, but they're broke, leaderless, and not ready for another election. The Liberals know it. The Conservatives know it. And they're already preparing for a comeback. Poilievre, even though he lost his seat, plans to stay on as party leader. The Conservative brain trust is banking on one thing: that voter frustration with the Liberals and fear of Trump won't last forever. They believe they can win over more working-class voters with promises of bigger paychecks, lower taxes, and less government interference. Their slogan? Build, baby, build. And honestly, that message is hitting home for many Canadians. With no strong alternative from the left, no revitalized NDP, and no grassroots movement offering a different path, the appeal of the Conservatives continues to grow. So what's the bottom line? This recent pause in Canada's political shift is likely temporary. The anger that fuels right-wing populism hasn't disappeared. It's just been overshadowed by Trump's threats and the urgent call for national unity. But that unity won't last forever. Carney may look like a safe pair of hands, but he's exactly the kind of global finance leader that right-wing populists love to hate. His leadership doesn't mean populism is dead. It means the reckoning has been delayed. And with the NDP out of the picture, working-class Canadians, the ones at the center of every major crisis, are being left with only one side offering them answers. The right, the forces that once gave Poilievre a commanding lead in the polls, haven't disappeared. They've just been put on hold. Thanks for watching Fresh Talk News channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful updates on politics and society.